The President's Cup final is set in the QMJHL. The National Hockey League playoffs are well underway, and Phil Mickelson comes away with a PGA championship. It's Sports QuaranTV. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Sports QuaranTV. Chris Dobson and Gerry Green joining as always. Gerry, it's always great to see your smiling face once a week. We've got a lot to talk about this week. The President's Cup final is finally set. A little bit of an upset, but if you go back to a few weeks ago and you look at my game tape, my voice tape, and everything I said Victo could upset Charlottetown, and I am not surprised one bit. So let's get into it. We've got a lot to talk about.
Well, I thought Victo was way back in before the playoffs even started. I thought they were one of those teams that you had to keep your eye on. You know, they had Abramov and Serdiak up front, the two Russians, and they added Beauchamp and Bocage, and we forget about Benjamin Tardif that they added from Sherbrooke. He's added some experience and some scoring up front, but it's, Sean Elements is the one who rears his head, I guess, versus the Islanders in the fifth and deciding game and scores the only goal before they score an empty net goal. Were you just shocked at the fact that the Game 5 was a 2-0 final, and really it was 1-0 for so long, and then the empty netter?
What surprised me the most about that game, Gerry, is the fact that I think they were able to hold Charlottetown to 18 shots in the whole game. Like, that's the part that kind of caught me off guard. And I said, this Victo team is real. To watch Victoriaville come on in and do what they did with Charlottetown, and you got to give kudos where kudos due. And you look at that Charlottetown Islanders team and you almost feel for them just because, especially coming off the Wildcat season that we saw last year and what they built and tried to win. Charlottetown was trying to build, so you do feel for them. And Jim Halton did a great job. They had a great team. That all started by acquiring Colton Ellis at the draft. That was their guy. And then all of a sudden they made their way through in this bizarre final, this bizarre year in general. And now all of a sudden, they came up against a tough Victoriaville team. So to answer your question, no, I wasn't I was surprised a little bit to see the lack of offense come through, but great on Victoriaville to keep Charlottetown down to 18 shots, come away with that shutout win to send them in a 3. That was a great series. And, this is where it's a little different because in a normal year, it wouldn't be a best of 5. You'd have that best of 7 to kind of move your way into the final. So, but overall, everyone knew the rules coming into it. It is what it is. But overall, not surprised at all. If anybody was going to do it, Victoriaville was the team. Now, that being said, let's look ahead a little to the President's Cup final. You've got two great matchups. You've got offense by the plenty in the Val-d'Or for her. And then you've got Victoriaville, who scores and plays a very strong two-way game. And overall, I'm absolutely shocked. But I am not overly shocked. But to see how that all played out, I'm pumped. I can't wait for this President's Cup final.
Well, if you look at Val-d'Or's lineup, it's like the first round draft from 2017, excluding Alexis Lafreniere, of course, who was taken number 1. Right. And you're excluding Halifax's pick. I'm trying to think of it now, Chris. Went on and played to Sherbrooke, got traded to Sherbrooke. Anyways, you've got number 2 in Samuel Poulin. You got number 3 in Pelche. You got it was number 4 for Halifax that wasn't taken. I'm trying to think of his name. Anyways, you got number 6 in Nathan Legary. And you got Chaykovich, who we forget about, that was taken. Right. The St. John Sea Dogs traded him to Val-d'Or. He was the number 1 pick in 2018, the number 1 import pick. So, it was number 5, Max Jeanette. Remember, he a defense that Val-d'Or took. That was their original pick. Right. And Jeremy Michel on the back, right winger, he was taken 17th overall. They've got a number of players from that first round of that draft in 2017, very much similar to what we saw in 2020 for the Moncton Wildcats. They've been scoring goals like crazy. Legary and Pelche both have 15 points, and Poulin and Spence have 14. It's going to be offense against defense. I definitely think that's going to be true. But Victoriaville, Xavier Perron, that was it, right? Xavier Perron was the one that was taken 4th overall by Halifax. But Victoriaville surprised us all along. They come in having won 9 and lost 5. Val-d'Or has not lost a game in the playoffs, and they had an 8-game winning streak before they went into the playoffs. So are they on a roll? Yeah, they're on a roll.
I think on a roll is an understatement. But yeah, overall, I mean, we talked about it ourselves and we say, like, even off camera, we wanted to see this President's Cup final get underway. It is the only junior championship that people are going to get to see across the country this year. But again, I've got a soft spot for guys like Jacob Pelche and Jordan Spence, who didn't get their chance at a title last year. Obviously, we're being a little homer here in the way of saying, from a Moncton Wildcat perspective, we watched them grow up. To sort of watch them go into Val-d'Or, nothing would make me happier than to see them get their rings, raise their cup, and put a banner in the building.
But I'm a little shocked that Charlottetown's not there. I really am. I mean, of course, the record that they had during the season, the way that they handled the teams that they've played thus far in the playoffs. I'm really quite shocked that Game 5 went down the way it went down, and the fact that Charlottetown had a 2-1 series lead, and they come all the way back does Victo to win Games 4 and Game 5, and how disheartening, and how and we look at, we as fans of the Moncton Wildcats and the Moncton Wildcat fans and those involved with the organization know how it feels to have something so close yet be taken away, and that was what, of course, the problem for the Moncton Wildcats, so close to showing what kind of team they had in 2020 and not getting the opportunity. And Charlottetown again has not. I think I read today, Chris, they've never been in a Q League final.
I believe that's correct.
Right. So I really am. I have to say I am shocked. And you and I thought last week when we talked that I thought it'd be Charlottetown and Val-d'Or, but that's hockey, and that's what I love about hockey. It's so random. From one game to the next, the momentum can change, and somebody can have the upper hand, and that's what happened. And Victoriaville's going to the final.
What I feel for is the fact that, how great would it be, especially for Victoriaville and both Val-d'Or here alone, to have fans in the building. I mean, it would have been something spectacular for their fans who kind of same idea, they went through their rebuild, especially in Val-d'Or. They did what they had to do to make the moves they made. And, look, they gave up some big pieces to acquire that team that they've got on the ice here this year. So I do, like I said, I feel for them. But overall, hey, you know what? It is set that you're right. That's why I love hockey.
But there are going to be fans, aren't there, Chris? Aren't they going to allow 2,000? But later in the series, yeah. I know it's a best of 7 too, isn't it?
That's right. I forgot all about that because it is in Quebec and they're starting to open things up, and I completely forgot. I think you're right. You are right.
And it starts tonight, Thursday, the 27th. And I think it's Thursday, Saturday, and then they might play Sunday back to back. And anyways, they're going to have it done in a short bit of time, of course, because they're both in Quebec City. There's no travel involved, but they do need rest. You can't play all back-to-backs, but it's going to be fun. I can't wait.
No, but at the same time, too, remember, before this whole thing started, there was a hard stop date on June 5th. Yeah, June 15th. The commissioner came on out and said, regardless of what's happening, the hard stop, the championship will be awarded no later than June 15th. So we know that there was a date in place, but the fact that everything worked out well, the fact that, you're right, they're all in Quebec City, everything was good there. Let's just get these kids out here, let them play, let me finish out their summer, and then, award a championship, and let's get going. I mean, make history this year. Why not?
I don't see why not. And it's going to be fun. And I've said it over and over again, and we've had Gilles Courteau on the show here with us. What a tremendous effort it has been for them to get to this point. And we're almost there. There could be a cup, could be a cup presented, and someone's got to, get a cup for Gilles and all the governors, whoever else is involved in the front office that made this happen.
Absolutely. And, you're right. And, we fans should be lucky, and fans should thank the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League for everything they went through. The players, you got to throw a big congratulations. And, this was huge for the Q. I mean, this was massive. And we've seen some great things out of the QMJHL, but think about how tough this would have been, not just for players, but for billet families and regular families throughout this whole thing. And I mean, again, the fact that these young men were able to kind of keep their composure, get it together, and be able to finish a full playoff format, absolutely incredible. And the QMJHL shows exactly why they're one of the premier leagues in the entire country.
Yeah, that is great news. And just can't wait. It gets underway tonight and continues over the weekend. I'll be watching closely for sure. What about the NHL, Chris? Toronto Maple Leafs and the Montreal Canadiens. Game. Hold on now. Game 4 was last night, and I must say, I'm more of a rooting for the Canadiens than I am for the Leafs, but there's got to be more of an effort, Chris. And I don't want you to go too in depth on it, but do you see a lack of effort from your team?
I didn't see a lack of effort until game 4. Game 4, and again, they played a great first period. Something's not right. Something's missing. You're right. I won't go into too much depth because honestly, that'll take the whole show, and that's not fair. I have so much to say. But I will leave it at this, and that is Game 5 is tonight, Thursday night. This has to happen. I haven't seen a lineup. I don't know what it looks like at this point while we are currently recording this because we're recording it earlier. If Romanov and the kids are not finally in the lineup, somebody should be fired.
Okay.
I've had enough, man. And I know Habs fans have had enough. And the only reason I want to say, and this is the only thing I'm going to say about it, that is, did people expect Toronto to win this series? Of course they did. They're the Toronto Maple Leafs, and there's a reason they finished where they finished in the standings. They're an unbelievable hockey team. But you're going to sit here and tell me that last year in the playoffs, Montreal tried to plead to Commissioner Bettman to allow Romanov to join the team and play last year. And he said, because of rules, he can't play. So they flew him in. He sat in the bubble with this team throughout the playoffs to get used to it, to practice with them. Then he plays this entire season, the whole season, on the blue line. I think he was benched, sat maybe twice all year. And now all of a sudden you're going to tell him he's not good enough to play in the postseason when arguably he's the future defenseman of the Montreal Canadiens. And all of a sudden he's the only guy who's kept Austin Matthews in check all season. He's played him physical. He's played him great. Look, I understand that at this point it's pride on the line, but Marc Bergevin's got to figure it out. I mean, he acquired Merrill. I don't know why. He acquired Gustafsson. Waste of space. Romanov should be in over all of them. Anyways, that's all I'm going to say because I'll probably get fired.
In this series, I am somewhat shocked. Maybe Frederik Andersen was always the problem in Toronto. By looking at his numbers in the playoffs, they've always seemed to be good. But every time I saw Frederik Andersen play for the Toronto Maple Leafs, who are trying to win their first series in a long, long time, Frederik Andersen always seemed to let them down in the games that were important. So Carey Price has played well. What has happened is Jack Campbell's come in, and there just seems to be an attitude about how they like what Campbell's been doing. And he has been rock solid. His numbers are certainly indicative of that. And so let's keep on the theme of goaltenders and how much goaltenders have been a part of these playoffs. Let's talk about the Oilers and the Jets. The Jets win in 4 straight games. Hellebuck plays well in games 1 and 2. Back at home, he was all right, but he made some great saves in that 4-1. It was 4-1 when the Jets came back to win. He made some saves, even though he had allowed 4 already. Right. The point I'm trying to make is, Chris, how important goaltending can be. How about this Spencer Knight going in for Florida? He faced his first shot, it goes in, and then he stands on his head and makes the rest of the saves, and he keeps the Panthers in the playoffs. It's stuff like that where you need the goaltending. But again, in your Montreal Canadiens case, they need some scores too. The series that intrigues me, Chris, is the New York Islanders and Pittsburgh. The Islanders are getting goaltending from Ilya Sorokin. Yep. They put him in for game 1. He won. And then they put Varlamov in for games 2 and 3. They lost. Put Sorokin back in. What happens? He wins the next 2. Why even pull the guy after he's won? But that's how important goaltending is. If you saw the game the other night, Pittsburgh totally outshot the Islanders and ended up losing and find themselves on the brink of elimination.
Look, at the end of the day, that entire series has been crazy. I mean, how many times or how many highlights have we seen Sidney Crosby save goals from going on in? I think the first one he did in game 1 was like a one-handed stick save behind the goal. I mean,
Tristan Jarry has been hot and cold, and more cold than hot.
So. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you talk about goaltending and how that all plays out, but it's been remarkable. And the series that I've been keeping a close eye on, yes, the Pittsburgh New York series has been fun, but again, watching Carolina do what they do and to see the storm surge back again, I love that. I think it's great. But look at all the other series as well. And I just want to go back to that Oilers series because this is a bigger conversation, Jerry, that I think we need to have. And I don't want to go into a whole lot on it, but it was a tough 24 hours for Edmonton Oilers fans. First, you've got the elimination. 24 hours later, you've got Wayne Gretzky saying he's stepping away from being the chairman. And he left. He's going into a broadcast role, which we are going to talk about, another topic. But what has to happen for Edmonton right now? They finished higher in the standings. And this isn't a shot at your Jets, because the Jets are a good hockey team. And, I'm happy they got through. But you have to feel for Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. And the reason I say that is that after the game that they fully collapsed and blew that 4-1 lead, Connor and Leon were in front of the media answering questions. And that, look, we're in the media. We've asked these questions before, I understand. But some of these things are the most ignorant things I've ever seen in my life, like talking about the collapse, asking what happened, asking how deflated the room is, things like that. I mean, just to see the look on Leon's face at one point, he literally looked at the camera and the media and said, "What do you want me to say?"
To put players who just had been on the ice with their heart and soul and trying to win a game and get eliminated, to come up with some of these questions that they come up with. And Chris, I, Jerry, who loves the Winnipeg Jets, did not think they were going to beat the Edmonton Oilers, just from what we had seen leading into the playoffs. They built up a little bit of confidence with those two tight games in Edmonton, but I knew Edmonton was going to come at them in game 3, Chris. But what I've seen for the Jets, they did turn a switch. And all of a sudden, they're doing the things that I used to love watching them do. They're very confident with the puck. They're quick. They're fast. And you know what? I think it was Nikolai Ehlers getting back the lineup made the difference.
100%. Nick Ehlers is a heck of a hockey player. You see what he brings to the lineup. And that addition of Pierre-Luc Dubois as well, to see like the chemistry flowing there. It's just, look, they're playing good hockey right now. In fact, I wouldn't want to face them in round 2. They've got the ball rolling. Did I think they could beat Edmonton? I did. I didn't think they were going to, but I knew they could. But there was 0% chance I thought they were going to beat them in 4. Nobody would have picked that.
Did you see the Wild and the Vegas Knights? And watching Cam Talbot stand on his head, they're getting outshot like 50-20, and they're winning games. And they've got. I think, stand corrected, but I think the Wild have got the Knights on the ropes, don't they? Again, yes. Unbelievable goaltending is making teams get noticed and keeping them in series. That's been the theme for me thus far in these playoffs.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. But it has been fun to watch, man. It's been fun to watch. And, the last thing I'll say too is about, going into that game tonight, Montreal and Toronto. What I will tell you is this: if Montreal does not come out fired up, to know that if they win tonight in Toronto, fans are allowed at the Bell Center on Saturday night. You've got a reason to play.
Is that right? Well, that'll be fun. Yes.
Right. Okay. It'll be the first time. In fact, I think it'll be the first arena in Canada, pro arena, like from a hockey perspective, that's going to allow it. So at this point, you owe it to your fans to lay it all on the line. And if Ducharme doesn't play the kids, I'm going to riot and both.
No, I heard that loud and clear.
They should pack their bags. Anyways, Jerry,
but what about the atmosphere? Just quickly, Chris, the atmosphere in the States with these games has been tremendous.
Unbelievable.
And let's move on to golf, where there was a lot of atmosphere.
Speaking of atmosphere, man, there is so much to talk about here. First and foremost, we have to start Phil. Phil winning the PGA Championship. I think he's 50 years old.
He's 50 years, 11 months. I should know that because I'm an older guy too, but he's 50 years, 11 months.
Man, and he was dialed in. Just to watch that entire tournament, the way it all went down. I love it. I love when Phil comes out and does stuff like that. I'm a big Phil Mickelson fan. How can you not be? When Tiger's not playing, Phil's the guy.
The biggest thing for him though, Chris, and as you get a little older, you'll realize, and maybe not realize, but it's not, again, the degree of concentration it takes to be a professional golfer. And you could see every time he was visualizing every shot and how much energy and effort and dedication it takes to do that. And the fact that he had some ups and downs in that final round, Chris, but then stuck with it. He only played even par. Nobody was able to play any better because it was that tough a course. I think, was it 8,000 yards? I mean, it's a long, hard course. It is a long course. Even par wins it for him in the final round.
I think one of the coolest things I saw, so Phil's wife tweeted out a screenshot photo of a text messaging conversation she was having with Phil's mother. And Phil's mother sent her a message, and all it said was, "Message Phil, he's not replying to me. Tell him all he needs to do is play smart and par out the round." And then she replied back with, "He's not listening to me either, but I'll text the caddy because that's the only guy he listens to on Sunday."
His brother
exactly.
Was the caddy. Yes.
Right. Anyways, it was It was crazy. It was fun to watch. It was fun to see. But yeah, anyways, it was great. But on top of the championship, we got to talk about the underlying storyline, and that is this nonsense going on between Brooks Koepka and Bryson DeChambeau. It's the story within the story, and I've even followed it on Twitter a little bit. And actually, Phil jumped in on the battle on Twitter a little bit to kind of mock them all. Brooks likes to play the game fast. And so Phil going slow was starting to bother him a little bit too, which I thought was hilarious. But, coming from the interview and you see all the stuff that the media is making a mockery of it. And I mean, look, I think it's good for golf. Why not? Let's stir
Well,
up.
why don't you explain what happened, which Koepka was getting ready for an interview, and it's an outtake because he hears DeChambeau coming, and DeChambeau's mumbling to himself, and Koepka can hear it, and it distracts him from the interview, and then gets all kerfuffled, and then says something derogatory about DeChambeau, doesn't he? Isn't that what happened?
That's exactly what happened.
So, because I don't think everybody's seen it, but it is. They said whether or not the person that leaked it out should be fired or the person that leaked it out should get a raise, one or the other, because it's one of those outtakes, and it's from the Golf Network.
Yeah, absolutely. And the fact that it got leaked, and even at the end of it, there was a conversation that said, what were they saying? Oh, he even said, he's like, oh, I don't care. Because it sounded like he asked for his permission at the end of the clip. He goes, I don't care. I don't care if you post it. I don't care.
Yes. No, he doesn't care. So obviously he does not like him. And I can see how even as a fan, you like him or you don't like him. I find him intriguing, and I always want to know what he's doing. So that's a big thing for me when it comes to DeChambeau.
Oh, absolutely. But at the end of the day, I'm not a DeChambeau fan, but hey, it is what it is. Although, the brighter side, let's go back to some fun parts of golf. I mean, there's some conversation, you see it, Brady and Mickelson versus Rogers and Bryson on July 6th. What do you think of these pro-ams? Do you like them? Like, do you think that's exciting? I mean,
no, I don't like them at all. I'm not a fan of those, made for TV type of shows. You remember when they used to have those skins games in PEI, and John Daly would show up and stuff like that. But the team things I don't like. I like the skins games with the pros playing, but again, I'm not. It seems too corny to me. But
right. Hey,
have you seen Vladdy Guerrero playing lately, Chris, and what he's been doing for the Toronto Blue Jays, who a week later found themselves on a long losing streak because they had to play the Red Sox and they had to play the Rays. The Rays just had an 11-game winning streak snapped. And here they go into New York and get a victory that gets them back above 500. And Vladdy leads the way. He's got 15 home runs to lead, 16 home runs to lead the league.
Vladdy right now, league leader in home runs, second in RBIs. I mean, look at what he's doing. And yes, have I been paying attention? Of course I have. I don't think there's a sports network in North America not covering this right now. I mean, Vladdy's an unbelievable. In fact, I saw our producer's tweet the other day. It said something like they should sign Vladdy Guerrero for like 14 years, $800 million. I don't care. And I had to have a good laugh at that because we know Kinger's a huge Blue Jays fan. And, overall, it's shocking to me. And I mean, nobody's surprised by this. I actually shouldn't say that. I'm a little shocked only because I wasn't sure if he was going to be able to keep up this pace once he took off all that weight. That was, and then he's proved that the weight had nothing. All the weight did was slow him down. But realistically, he's still got the pop off the bat. He's very agile. He's playing first base very well. He's Vladdy Guerrero, man, and he's exactly the reason the Blue Jays have acquired him, and they scooped him up at a very young age.
He's fifth in batting average at .337, and I know we're only 40 some odd games in. I mean, and he's tied for first with RBIs with 41. He had 3 last the other night in a home run and with playing the Yankees. So here they were coming from playing the Red Sox, the Rays, and now going to take on the Yankees and have the Cleveland Indians later this week. That's a tough stretch. And as we know in baseball, it's 162 games. How quickly Tampa Bay vaulted to the top of the American League East and pushed the others down, and then the Yankees made a push themselves. So Toronto finds themselves in a pretty tough division.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the AL East is good. I mean, again, the Red Sox, in my personal opinion, have overachieved. Obviously, it goes to show what's happening. It reminds me a lot of that 2014 team that the Red Sox had. But, the guys who are supposed to be stepping up are stepping up. Plus, don't forget, I mean, the longer they can have Chris Sale recover from Tommy John surgery, because he is due to come back at some point. If the Red Sox are still red hot and you add a guy like Chris Sale into your rotation, I mean, maybe grab another arm. I don't know if the Red Sox can be beat. But this is surprising to me. I just needed the Red Sox to be a 500 ball team. So yeah, for the Jays to be in that division, I mean, the Yankees were supposed to be very good. Tampa's having an unreal year. Somehow, some way, Tampa always finds a way to get good every year. But overall, it's a tough division, but I enjoy it.
Bottom line, I'm enjoying the Blue Jays, and if I don't want to watch the intermission guests for the hockey, I switch and watch the Blue Jays for a few minutes and watch 15 or 18 minutes of that, and then switch back. But Chris, let's go to the wrap, and in the wrap, we send out happy trails to Mr. Neil Hodge. Neil, of course, who is the scribe that's followed the Moncton Wildcats for 25 years. He's been in the business for 33 years, is moving on to another position. He's going to go to the New Brunswick government and work for them and be in a tourism sort of position. But my goodness, Chris, he's the man that covered this team for so many people for so long. And if you couldn't make it to the game, you'd pick up Neil's article and you felt like you were there, and you kept track of who was hot and who was not. And those notebooks of his, they've got a lot of important chronicled information inside. He should be in a wall of fame, if there is one, for the Moncton Wildcats. What about Wayne Gretzky, Chris? You talked about him earlier. What's he going to be doing? He's leaving the Oilers for what?
He's going to be joining the broadcast booth. But before we talk about that quick, because I know we still have a little extra time, I just want to also wish my very best to our good buddy Neil Hodge. I know that we have plenty of time. You nailed everything, Jerry. But again, I just want to tip my cap to you, Neil. Thanks for sharing the booth with Jerry and I for a long time. Wish you all the best in your future endeavors, my friend. Wayne Gretzky leaves the Oilers 24 hours after the Oilers get eliminated from the postseason to join TNT and be up in the broadcast booth. I don't know how I feel about it, Jerry. I mean, I don't know if this is just like kind of a life goal of his or something he wanted to do. I'm not sure. I'm skeptical.
Or is it money?
I'm skeptical. It could be money, but do you think the great one needs money? I don't know. I don't know. Either way, I'm a little skeptical, but hey, he's joining TNT to be in the broadcast booth. We'll see. Let's talk about the MFL, Jerry. There's something going on there. What are you hearing?
Hey, MFL. We're talking about Maritime Football League. They opened up last weekend. They got another game this weekend at the UMB SJ. It's going to be the Fredericton Fleet versus the St. John Wanderers. There's 4 teams in the league, which include the Moncton Mustangs and the Southern New Brunswick Ducks. Football underway. They're not allowed to have fans, but you can catch some action on Rogers TV. We're going to be broadcasting some of their games, and I think this weekend we're going to be broadcasting. So take a look at your local listings. The Maritime Football League is underway in the province of New Brunswick. What about Chris? The no-hitters that are going on or in the Major League of Baseball? Is there too many? Is it odd?
No, I think pitching's been absolutely bang on. It's been perfect. I'm going to tip my cap to all the pitchers out there. They're doing their thing, and I love to see it. But Jerry, we're about out of time. I would love to go on a little further, but we can't. We hope you guys have enjoyed this show as much as we've enjoyed doing it. We love being in your living room. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next Thursday.